Welcome to the finale episode of season number 2 of the Pierce Dispatch podcast.
I cannot believe that we are through another season already.
We have had so many phenomenal guests and talked about so many incredible topics this season.
It feels like yesterday you had us all in here trying out for who your co-host was going to be. And then now I think of all those different conversations we've had and things we've learned. It's exciting.
Yeah, we have such an exciting episode planned for today. We are talking to our listeners about how to build a fire truck.
Well, that's fitting. Like at a fire truck manufacturer that we're going to walk through how to build one, huh?
It's a really complex process, but we're going to walk through and simplify it.
Okay. All right.
Before we get started talking about how to build a fire truck, I want to talk about the recent investments Pierce has been making.
Yeah, there's no question. It's certainly very newsworthy across the country and really across the fire service in terms of lead times pushing out following the pandemic for a number of different reasons. But I think people are frankly tired of hearing about the reasons why it happened, and they just want to see what are we doing and what are you doing to combat that. And boy, you talk about investments. In my time here, we've never seen this kind of capital going into initiatives to expand our capacity. We've spent $50 million to date in the last 4 or so years to grow our capacity, and we have plans to do another 100 million. How specific do you want me to get?
Maybe you can talk about the new square footage at the facilities or new technology.
Yeah. And I think that there's a handful that's a good point. There's a handful of ways to break it down. I think that square footage is a good people understand that. And so certainly need more space to build apparatus. So we've added over 500,000 square feet, bringing us over 2 million total square feet across our campuses here in Appleton, Wisconsin. Most folks are familiar with our location in Bradenton, Florida. And what folks may not know is we kind of quietly made an investment in the last few years in Murfreesboro, Tennessee as well, where we have more than 100,000 square feet and 100 people that are dedicated to building Pierce cabs. It's conveniently located right between Bradenton and Appleton. So our cabs leave there, and we still have cabs being welded at both Bradenton and Appleton, but it does help with getting those additional cabs built there. And I had the privilege of just being there a few weeks ago. What a talented team, and just super, super passionate about what they're doing. And you could just feel that culture growing of servitude there. But square footage isn't the only thing. The reality is you can add a whole bunch of space, but what do you got to fill it with? So one of them is people. Our customers certainly make comments whenever they leave our facilities about the talented people that they get to meet and the passionate people they meet. And that doesn't just grow on trees. In the last few years, we've added over 800 new employees that are now building fire trucks. And with that, we need to make sure they're trained. We need to make sure that they're mentored. And so we have a training center that's across the street that's here locally that's taking people and really turning them into world-class craftsmen. One of the things I really enjoy is that our new team members wear a different colored vest. So they wear like a Kelly green vest for the first 6 months when they're here. What's cool about that for when our customers are in the plant is you get to physically show them who a new person is that's relatively new here. I know when you're here for 20 years, you get that red name tag. Your name tag gets ripe and turns red once you hit the 20-year mark, but it's also neat to see people who are just beginning their journey here. And the benefit of the vest is certainly that we know they're new. We can take better care, make sure that we're reaching out and supporting them, making sure they understand safety protocols and mentorship here. But I like it. Customers like it because you can go up and they don't know that the customers, typically not here very frequently. So I always encourage them to walk up and welcome them to Pierce, which is a neat moment too for those new team members as they join. So we talked about people, we talked about our facilities and our plants. In addition to that, there's a lot of different robotics and different things of that nature that we're doing to increase our capacity and get more fire trucks and firehouses. So some of that have been robotics. We invested in robot painting, where we have some painters that'll go around, and the detail of that's just incredible. And then one of them that I think is really cool is that AI-enabled sanding machine. And whoever it is that's got the sense of humor, that industrial engineer that named them Dusty and Sandy, I especially appreciate. But it's really neat to go through that and to see how it followed the movements of our very talented team that is out there doing that sanding of the apparatus. But more importantly, it also freed those people up that they could go to other skilled positions. And I know some folks saw robotics and said, oh, does that mean that it's replacing people? And it is absolutely not. In fact, if our listeners are interested, we are hiring painters, we are hiring metal finishers, we are hiring assemblers. We'd love to have you. But really, these different elements are really there to supplement the work that's already being taking place and get fire trucks, high quality fire trucks into firehouses. Anything that our listeners are interested in joining, we'd love to have them here as well.
That's incredible. You've really hit on a lot of the growth investments that Pierce is making to really ensure we're getting quality apparatus to our customers.
Absolutely. So let's get rolling. I'm excited to hear about this one because I've obviously seen it. I've given a lot of tours, but I've never had to talk through how a fire truck's made. So how early are you starting? Are we starting at like the speccing phase?
First, let's start with our Wisconsin operations. This is where we build pumpers, tankers, aerials, and heavy duty rescues. And it all begins with fabrication. That is where the raw materials are cut, bent, and drilled. To support this process, we've invested in new advancements of technology to boost both efficiency and quality.
Yeah. That pentalaser's like 30 kilowatts or something like that. That's wild. That's a lot of kilowatts. But yeah, we've invested in new robotics and precision equipment all across our manufacturing, certainly in the fabrication area. We have a fully auto cell and a pentalaser bevels with 45-degree lasers in both efficiency and quality. Pierce has also invested in automated panel benders that are programmed to fold and bend parts rapidly with extreme accuracy.
So the next step is welding. And first, the smaller pieces are welded, and then the CAD body sections start coming together. For the smaller parts, the new laser welder is when that comes into play. And we recently introduced that to increase our efficiency and accuracy when welding the small parts. But when welding is complete, that's the moment that this apparatus starts to look and take form of those beginning stages of a fire truck.
And it's neat too. I don't know if you've ever seen like the time lapse of that because they're doing that on an individual fixture for each of those. So we can make sure that that team member's staying in a safe place and like the ergonomics are in mind of that team member while they're building it. But it's if you watch like a time lapse, it looks like bees buzzing around a hive and it just cab appears throughout it. But each of those detailed welds, particularly in cab, you think of what that means and who it's protecting. And that's that capsule that's going to protect the firefighter and all the things the firefighter is going to see inside that cab. It's like their locker room on wheels.
Well, and that laser that they use to really get precise, drawn, smooth welds on those small assembled parts really make a difference in our quality.
And then comes the part that I think people are very passionate about, and that's the paint. But I know at Pierce we're almost to 400 shades of red. We're like 396 or something like that. But obviously, it's something that's so important to the fire truck, to the tradition of the fire industry. But the expansion in paint has been incredible. So they've added another 26,000 square feet on our campus here. They've also moved around some different elements like our where people may have seen our light tunnel. That's moved. It's still in existence. That's really at the end of the process, which is funny. The light tunnel, which inspects for paint quality, had to move for increased paint capacity, which is interesting. But so there, the spare parts are also being painted there now where that used to be. But it's also added additional square footage that we can continue doing our bodies and our cabs, which certainly take up a tremendous amount of space when they're being painted. The more space we have, or we can break that work content down, it gets a higher quality first pass yield. And having that first pass yield is important. Certainly, the customer wants a quality truck.
So simultaneously to that process, your pump assembly is beginning. And this is where the pump is built and painted, and then it is paired with its electrical components. All units are Underwriters Laboratory certified and are NFPA compliant.
Then right from there, we move into the cab assembly where electrical and dash work are completed, followed up by frame up.
This includes prepping the frame rails, axles, and subassemblies, then mounting the pump, engine, and body.
And then it's time for the cab and chassis to marry up, and you really start seeing that truck take shape.
Yeah. And after that, the apparatus heads to final assembly, alignment, calibration, and testing. Then the unit is run through the manufacturing release line for a quality check.
And then it's off to the candy shop where graphics are applied, and the truck ownership team provides their final inspection.
And then the customer arrives for their final inspection on their new apparatus. And once that is completed, the truck is ready for delivery.
All right, so We talked about a lot there on how a truck is built, but I think what we were actually talking about was how a pumper was built. As the aerial sales team likes to joke around, maybe when they grow up, they can get a ladder on top and grow from being a pumper puppy to a real adult aerial. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how the aerials are built and what special processes go into that.
So, Kiwani Fabrications is a division of Pierce, and they manufacture and paint our aerial devices. Pierce has made robotic and laser technology investments in Kiwani to improve efficiency as well. It is then brought to Pierce where we unstack it, install the option content, restack it, and pin it.
Right. Then right after it's pinned, that's when they'll apply the graphics to at least to that aerial section. So you'll see that part where it may be rung numbers or it may be the boom sign that gets graphics. It goes through extensive testing after that. So certainly at Kiwani, they're doing a bunch of UL testing with the mag particle tests. But then here they also do the UL testing and the NFPA testing to ensure everything's meeting those standards as well.
Yes, so after testing, the truck owner, team lead, and customer complete the final inspection. And then the unit is cleared for shipment. Now let's head south all the way to our Bradenton, Florida facility.
Oh boy! First of all, if you've never been to our Bradenton, Florida facility, I highly advise going there. Talk about a passionate team, and again, kind of I think for a long time a well-kept secret. But they started off by building our stock trucks years and years ago, and almost were a stock plant. So at Bradenton, they've been building our commercial cabs and our commercial builds for a long time. They expanded into making our Sabres, and now they also do some of our enforcer work at the Bradenton facility as well.
So let's dive into what it looks like when a commercial apparatus is built in Bradenton. And it all begins when the commercial chassis arrives from the original manufacturer. Once it arrives to Pierce, the dash area and the seating area are taken out so that it can be customized to the customer spec.
Yeah, then meanwhile, on the body side of it, there's fabrication going on, body welding, the frame rail prep, and the pump manufacturing are all happening at the same time.
Once the cab is ready, it is married to the chassis, followed by pump, engine, and body.
Then after assembly, the unit is aligned, calibrated, tested, and receives its graphics. It's also quality checked by our internal team, as well as UL certified and NFPA compliance.
Then it's time for inspections, first by the truck owner team lead in Florida, then customers get to inspect it.
And then after inspection, anything that the customer wants changed, fixed, or verified, that takes place before it's then ultimately shipped to the dealer and then brought to the customer to put in service.
That's how we built a Pierce fire truck, from fabrication to final inspection.
No, it's a very complex process that's powered by precision, teamwork, and a shared passion for helping firefighters serve their communities.
We hope you've enjoyed this look behind the scenes on how we build a fire truck here at Pierce, and we appreciate you listening all season long.
Yeah, and if you'd like to see more on how a fire truck's manufactured, please go to piercemfg.com or contact your local Pierce dealer.
Stay safe, and we'll see you next season on the Pierce Dispatch podcast.
Stay safe, everybody.